Hello everybody out there. So for today I wanted to do a video, obviously as the title always says, the actual topic of the video, but essentially comparing your relationship to other people's relationships. Obviously this is kind of going to be an interesting topic as far as relationships go. I think that at one point in time or another we can all say confidently that we have compared our relationship to that of a friend, family member, random people in public, people on social media, whoever it may be. So I wanted to talk about this issue, I guess you could say, within relationships, dating, all that kind of jazz. And yeah, without further ado, we're gonna get into it. Right off the bat, I do want to put a disclaimer out there. So if you're someone who's sitting there saying like, I wish my significant other wasn't cheating on me or lying to me or beating me or yelling at me, for the love of God, please, for the love of God, just get out of that relationship. This is not the example that I'm referring to. So if you're that person, get out of that relationship, stop comparing, and for the love of God, please move on with your life. So what do I actually mean when I say comparing yourself to other significant other, comparing your relationship to that of other people? Essentially what I'm trying to say is when you say, hey, I wish that my significant other, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever it may be, would do X, Y, and Z for me, like so-and-so does for their other significant other. Another, obviously straightforward example is I wish that my significant other would do what my family member's significant other does for them. I don't really want to use specifics because if I do boyfriend, girlfriend, I'm going to jump around between that and married and all this other shit. So I'm going to kind of just give it the generic appeal and kind of go from there. So some obviously real life examples of this would be I wish that my boyfriend or significant other, as I just say, I'm not going to do it, would buy me more flowers. Or I wish that my significant other would clean the house the way so-and-so cleans their house, so-and-so's significant other cleans their house, or so-and-so's significant other always has their dinner ready for me. I wish that my partner would do that for me. Obviously, kind of a random tangent in here, but I kind of want to touch on it as well, is that when you're talking about social media, this is another time that people do that. People will be like, oh, I see so-and-so on social media and I want my relationship to look just like theirs. I want to have what they have. I want to go on these vacations. I want to have all these highlight moments, but just want to take a minute and kind of dispel that shit real quick. Obviously, social media is going to be highlights of people's lives. And I feel like we should already know that, but I think it's worth noting that when you see stuff posted on social media of the dinners, the dates, the vacations, the other sweet shit that people do, you're getting a microcosm of what's actually happening in the relationship. You're not seeing the drama or the fight that happened the day before that photo was taken, or the drama, the fight, or the other shit that they're going through after the photo was taken. You're just getting quick little highlights. So don't fall into that either of comparing yourself to social media relationships or just social media in general, because essentially speaking, it's all a bunch of highlights. No one's posting their sad, depressing shit on social media, and if they are, you're probably not following them anyways, or maybe it's one of your friends or family, but we're not talking about that. So don't get caught up in that idea either. Don't compare social media just right off the rip. There's no situation where it's gonna make sense, because again, you're just seeing the best points of someone's life, and you're not actually seeing what's actually happening. So now you kind of have an idea of a couple of quick examples and also the social media bullshit kind of out of the way. Why do we compare a relationship to other people's relationships? That's kind of the base of this is the why. So the reason why I really think that we do it is that at the end of the day, we want to be happier. We want to be happier in our relationships. We want to feel more love. We want to be more fulfilled. We want our relationship to be thriving like somebody else's. And obviously that makes sense. It's pretty straightforward, average human emotion. So it makes sense to feel that way and say it. But why, if that's the reason, why is it actually a problem? And the reason why it ultimately is a problem is what you're doing every time that you say that. Every time you're comparing your relationship or your significant other to someone else, is you're slowly kind of tearing down that wall, or I like to use the analogy, you're kind of hammering away at the foundational wall of your relationship. And essentially kind of what you're saying, whether you want to believe it or not, subconsciously or consciously, when you say, I wish my significant other did this or did that, or I wish my relationship was like so-and-so's, what you're saying is that your relationship doesn't have the potential to be there. Your partner doesn't have the potential to do the things that someone else is doing for their significant other, because if they did, you wouldn't be sitting there wishing it. You wouldn't be feeling that way. It would be happening. So that's kind of what you're saying, again, subconsciously or consciously. And the real issue, like I said, is the more times you say it, the more that it happens, you're literally hammering away at the foundation of your relationship with I wish that my partner did this. I wish my relationship was like this person's. And you start slowly breaking down that wall of like the foundation, if you will, of your relationship, of the trust, of the love, of the happiness with these comments. And like I said, it may not always be a conscious like fucking up the wall of your like relationship's foundation, but over time it does enough damage where it's going to come crumbling down. In the process of hammering away at your own relationship foundation, what you're doing is you're layering like brick by brick, layer by layer, a wall up in front of you on the other side of the wall that you're tearing down, your relationship, that your partner can't see. You're building up this wall for yourself of, I wish they did this, or they don't do this, or I wish our relationship was like so-and-so's. And you're building up this wall between you that your partner probably doesn't even know is there, because it's something that you're not telling them. You're not sitting there saying, hey, Joey, or whatever the fuck their name is, you need to be like this person, or you need to do this, or some shit like that. So over time, you're building up, like I said, like a lot of frustration, disdain, distrust, and you're not building the relationship anymore. You're breaking that down. You're building up your own wall between you and that person. And eventually when that wall comes crumbling down, like as far as the foundation of your relationship, what you're left with is a wall between you and the other person of, like I said, unhappiness, disdain, like trust is not there, and you just don't feel loved, and you're just not happy. So it's not a good way to go. And with all these videos, I don't like just being like, hey, here's an issue, here's why it's bad, and be like, hey, good fucking luck, good luck out there, you know, do your best, don't do this. But what I like to do is I really like to tell you like what I really feel like is a good way to go about like getting things to get better within your relationship versus comparing it to someone else's. So obviously you realistically have three choices, and obviously the first two aren't going to be the greatest, but I feel like encompassing everything, I do want to talk about all the different choices that you do have. So number one is you literally can be like, I don't want to deal with this, I want to be treated a certain way, I want to feel loved a certain way, and I don't, so I'm going to break up with this person. And that's a pretty straightforward option. Option number two is you have the choice to do nothing. You can be complacent, like so many people are, not talk to your partner, not work on your relationship, not do shit, and you can build up more disdain, build up that wall between you guys, and eventually you're going to be so hurt, so sad, so frustrated that you're going to break up with them, or you're going to be so shitty to the person that you're with that they're going to get tired of you being tired of them, that they're going to break up with you. So either way, the first two options lead to the same thing, so you might as well just break up with the person now and get it out of the way and stop wasting your time. Now, option number three is a little bit harder because it actually requires effort. And again, like all these videos, when I tell people like my advice as far as what I would do, like it's not necessarily easy. It's kind of hard conversations to have, and I can confidently tell you that I've been there. When I was younger, in my relationships would be like, I wish that my girlfriend did this. And I've heard from girlfriends before, when I was younger especially, I wish you do this because so-and-so's boyfriend does this. And it's like, it's a terrible feeling when it comes up like that. So leading into the what to do is don't start the conversation that way. Don't start off by saying, I wish you were like so-and-so, or I wish you did like what so-and-so did for their partner. I wish that you bought me more flowers, or I wish that you had dinner cooked like so-and-so. Or one of my buddies said jokingly, but he still said it, so it's obviously a little bit of truth in here, I wish that you'd get me a beer like so-and-so's significant other gets them a beer all the time. Like as dumb as that is, but that's still the same kind of shit. So don't start the conversation that way. The best way, in my opinion, to start the conversation is take ownership. I'm a big believer in taking ownership of anything that you do in your life, because if you can control your actions, which obviously you can, then you have to take ownership for anything that you're not doing to make things better. So I think the best way to start the conversation is really being honest and saying like, hey, like sitting the person down and be like, hey, I want to talk to you. Hey, I love you. Hey, I just wanted to tell you off the bat that I'm not feeling as loved or as cared about or as special or as happy as I want to be in a relationship. But I wanted to tell you that I'm taking ownership, or that I'm sorry, or that it's my bad that I feel that way right now, because I can't expect you to read my mind, and I haven't previously communicated to you the things that I obviously need or want in a relationship to be completely happy. If you start off that way, you're taking ownership and you're not putting the blame on the other person. So they're going to have their wall of self-defense come down. They're going to be much more open and like apt to hear what you have to say. So that's step one, is taking ownership and saying like, hey, I know you can't read my mind, but like I'm not 100% happy, and that's on me because I haven't told you exactly what I need or exactly what I want. Then from there, again, do not compare and say so-and-so does this. Try and keep all that out of the actual conversation. What I would really recommend is kind of a side note into this. A while back, I did a video on the 5 love languages. I would recommend you watch that, or just go Google the 5 love languages and have an idea of what your love language is. So if you're the person who says, I want my partner to buy me flowers or buy me this, then you might be someone who falls into the bucket, because these are the 5 love languages. I'm not going to tell you all of them, but kind of a brief summary. You might be the person who is a receiving gifts type of person. That's how you receive love. And you really have to elaborate for yourself and kind of dive into that for yourself and see if that's what bucket you fall into. You might be someone who says, I wish that my partner would hug me in public and kiss me in public and hold my hand and have more displays of affection out in public like so-and-so's does. And you might find yourself in physical touch. That might be what you need to feel loved. So you really have to break down and identify those 5 love languages and figure out if what you're needing or what you're comparing your relationship to falls into one of those buckets. I mean, there's going to be times where it's something stupid that doesn't fall into a bucket of the 5 love languages, and then at that point in time, have the same conversation, or maybe more delicately, because you can't give the example. But if it falls in one of the 5 buckets, as far as the love languages go, I would say, hey, I don't know if you know, there are 5 love languages, and I really feel like mine is, again, let's just say it's receiving gifts. That's really how I feel loved. And I really don't feel like I've obviously told you that before. Maybe you've known, maybe you haven't. It doesn't matter. I just want to communicate to you that that's really how I feel loved. And then go the extra mile to give your person some actionable things that you would like to feel loved, or that would make you happier, or that would make your relationship more idealistic. I should have done that for there, but we are here now. So give them those examples of real life things that they can do that you need to feel more loved. And the other reason why bringing up the 5 love languages is good is it gives your partner the ability to go, like I said, go look it up themselves. They can watch my video, they can go Google it, however they want to do it. And if they really care, they're going to take that time. They're going to go figure out maybe more examples of what it is. Maybe they'll take the time to figure out without you saying later on in the conversation what their love language is and what they need to feel loved. But at the very least, if they look it up, they're going to have a better understanding of what your love language or love languages are, so they can kind of meet you in the middle and start doing those things. Now, obviously, you might be in a relationship where you express all this, you have a good quality conversation, you get to that point where I kind of left off, and obviously the last thing I would tell you is you should tell your partner, is there any ways that I can make you feel more loved? Is there any things that I'm not doing or that I am doing that aren't making you feel loved, that you're not feeling happy about, that you don't like? Because again, you're taking that wall a little bit lower and you're saying hey, I'm asking for more, but I'm trying to give you more. And it kind of side notes into a tangent is you really have to ask yourself too, before you even have this conversation, are you giving out the type of love that you want to receive? Are you someone who's sitting there and saying, I want flowers, or I want my significant other to have the dinner done, or whatever it is all the time? Are you in turn doing things that are equivalent to that? I know I'm kind of jumping around a little bit, but it's kind of like the tangents that are popping into my head as I do this video. But essentially speaking, are you putting out all the love and effort that you're expecting? Because if you're not putting out the love and effort, then you should have a real hard time asking for more. I know that's kind of contrary to this American society idea of how love works, but you got to be giving it if you're expecting to get it. It's just the way it is. If you don't understand or you don't agree with that point of view, then I understand, but you probably shouldn't be watching this video, and you're probably not going to get anything out of this, so you can turn it off if you want to at this point in time. But if you do feel like you're putting out what you're expecting to get back, then that is the true point in time where having that conversation will be even better, because the last thing you want to do is try and have a conversation and your significant other is man, you don't do anything for me to feel loved or special, so what the fuck are you talking about? Because then it won't go over very well. So have that personal thought conversation by yourself, then have this conversation. Ask them again, like I said, is there anything else I can do? Because again, you're lowering that wall. You're letting them know, I'm not trying to take more than what I'm trying to give. I'm trying to put in as much effort as you are. And it really is going to set you up for a positive conclusion to this whole situation. And the thing I would tell you as well is you might, what I was going to try and say is you might be in a relationship where you're with somebody who doesn't want to put in the effort, who doesn't want to make steps to make things better. And maybe they don't look up the love languages, and maybe they do what you ask them to do. I keep using the buy the flowers analogy because it's an easy one to use, but they buy you flowers once, twice, and it never happens ever again. You might have to decide for yourself, is this a relationship that I want to be in? Do I want to be with someone who isn't going to make strides after I've healthily, in such a fucking adult way, communicated what I need, communicated what I want, and hasn't met me in the middle? And if that's the case, you have to make the decision for yourself if you want to be there and deal with that, or if you don't. My recommendation is don't. But in addition to one little additional tip on top of everything else that I've said already, at the end of the day, when you have these type of conversations, when you explain the love languages, when you explain what you need to your partner, they're going to try if they want to be with you. And if they try, they might fall down. You might have to have the conversation more than 1, 2, 3, 4 times. They might be taking very slow baby steps, because if if you watch or look up the love languages, things that you might be wanting out of your relationship might not be their love language. They might not have any idea what physical touch in public looks like, and they don't even care if you touch them. Like, that's not their thing at all. So they might have to take baby steps, and it might take multiple conversations. But if you see that your partner is making strides to be better, to do more, to meet you where you need to be met, to feel loved, to feel happy, then that's what you got to keep doing and working towards, as long as that is what is important to you. At the end of the day, realistically, again, I know I touched on it, but I'm going to say it one last time so I can kind of like drive it home for the end of this video. If you continue to compare your relationships to other people's, if you continue to do that, you're going to end up in one of those 3 buckets where that's just what's going to happen. You have to make the choice if that's what you want to do. But I'm telling you, if you don't have a conversation with your partner, if you don't want to have the conversation, then obviously you don't want to be with them. I'm going to tell you that straight up too. But if you don't want to have the conversation, if you don't feel like it's worth it to you, then you need to just stop wasting that person's time, stop wasting your time. But in addition to, if you do it, if you do stop comparing, if you do put yourself in a position where you have the conversation in a healthy way, kind of like with the little guidelines that I laid out, it will set you up in a position where your relationship will get better. It'll start taking strides and it will be improving. And you really have to understand that the inverse will start happening, where you'll have friends start telling you like, I wish that my significant other would do things that your significant other does, and I would say he will, because I'm talking about from my perspective, but your significant other will start having their friends or family do the same thing. And eventually you'll start being more of like that beacon top level of relationships if you have the healthy communication about what you want and what you need, and you stop comparing your relationship to other people's. So at the end of the day, that is what I have for the video. I don't like making them too long. It's already about 15 minutes, so we're going to cut it right here. The name of the game is helping 100 million people. Trying to change 100 million people's lives in small ways and in big ways, whether that's improving someone's day, making them laugh, or completely changing someone's life, career direction, whatever it may be, or just in the middle, improving their relationships with their significant other, like this video. The best way that I can do that is for people to share the content. If you got anything out of value, if you got any value out of the content, the video, whatever you want to call it, I would ask you to share it, whether it's through email, DM, however you want to do it. You can share the video on YouTube. I don't care, but that's the best way for more people to see the stuff. I'm not going to ask you to like. I'm not going to ask you to subscribe. If you want to support that way, you can, but I hate that generic shit that everyone says in like the YouTube videos or like Twitch or whatever else. If you want to do it, it's great, but I want more people to see stuff that's going to be helpful in their lives, so sharing is the best way for me to feel like I'm actually doing something good to the people in the world. I do a Q&A portion, if I can talk today, for all of the live streams. So if you're watching on YouTube, you can obviously comment in the, you can question in the comments and ask any questions you want to ask, whether it's about this topic or anything else, or you can DM me on any of the social media platforms. But if people are watching live, you're more than welcome to ask live questions, Facebook Live, twitch.tv, however you say it. Again, whether it's about this topic or anything else. So that's what I got for the video. For everyone watching on the live stream, thank you. For everyone watching on YouTube, for all the YouTube friends, thank you guys for watching so very much. I greatly appreciate it. I look forward to talking to you guys real soon. Until next time, guys, stay healthy, stay safe, and above all, be greater than. Bye, guys.